Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bikkurim. We are up to Perek Aleph, Mishnah Tet. Today's Mishnah should be Leilu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana Aranbaev, and Eliyahu ben Burchai Israelov, Minuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. Today's Mishnah is going to provide the source for the halacha that we taught in yesterday's Mishnah, which was if Bikkurim are lost or ruined before they are brought into the Har HaBayit, into the Temple Mount, the owner must replace them. And from where do we learn that the owner is responsible for them until he brings them into the Temple Mount, into the Har HaBayit? Shneimar, the pasuk says in Shemot chapter 23, pasuk 19, Rishit Bikkurei admatecha tavi bet Hashem Elohecha. The earliest of the first fruits of your land you shall bring to the house of Hashem your God. Milamed, this teaches shechayav ba'acharayutam ad shevil Har HaBayit. This teaches that he is responsible for them until he brings them into the Har HaBayit, into the Temple Mount. Therefore, if they become unfit before that point, he must replace them. Hare shevi mimin echad v'kara. The Mishnah now is going to cite its last case in which the owner brings Bikkurim but does not recite the passage. Hare shevi mimin echad v'kara. If someone brought Bikkurim from one species of fruit and recited the passage, v'chazar ve'evi mimin acher, and later brought Bikkurim again that year from a different species. So for example, first he brought grapes and later he brought figs. Eno koreh, he does not recite the passage a second time, and the Mefarshim explain a person must bring Bikkurim from all of the 7 species that grow on his land. However, if he brings only some species first and the other species later, he recites the passage only the first time. This we learn from the pasuk in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 26, pasuk 3. Higati hayom, I declare on this day. By specifying this day, the Torah teaches that the passage is recited no more than once, as the Rambam writes in his Hilchot Bikkurim, chapter 4, halacha 11. And that is an Abotai of Mishnah Tet. Mishnah Yud now continues, now that we discuss cases in which one does not bring Bikkurim at all, Mishnah 1 to 3. In cases where one brings Bikkurim but does not recite the passage, Mishnah 4 to 9, the Mishnah defines who brings Bikkurim and recites the passage. Ve'elu mivi'in v'korin. These people bring Bikkurim and recite the passage. Mina atzeret v'adehag. One who brings Bikkurim from Shavuot until Sukkot, because we learned in Mishnah 3, Bikkurim may not be brought before Shavuot, and the passage may not be recited after Sukkot. We learned that in Mishnah 6. So again, ve'elu mivin v'korin, min ha'atzeret v'adehag. These people bring Bikkurim and recite the passage. One who brings Bikkurim from Shavuot until Sukkot, mishivat aminim, from the 7 species for which Eretz Yisrael is praised, which is wheat, barley, grapes, figs, pomegranates, olives, and dates. Miperot shebe'arim, mitmarot shebe'amakim, umizitei shemen, from good quality fruits, like fruits of the mountains, the dates of the valleys, and good oil-producing olives, like we learned earlier, me'ever Yarden, and even if they are not from the main part of Eretz Yisrael, but from the east side of the Yarden, of the Jordan, and the Mefarshim give a background. This is the land east of the Jordan River that was conquered by the Jewish people from Sichon, king of the Amoraim, and Og, king of Bashan, Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 21, Psukim 21 to 35. It was given to the tribes of Reuven and Gad and half the tribe of Menashe, Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 32, Pasuk 33. So the produce of this area is subject to Tirumot and Maasrot and the other agricultural obligations of Eretz Yisrael, and therefore this Tana rules that its produce is also subject to Bikkurim. That's why the Mishnah mentioned it, right? Me'ever Yarden, even if they're not from the main part of Eretz Yisrael, but from the east side of the Yarden, the land that was added on later, right? Like we said, conquered by the Jewish people from Sichon and Og, king of Bashan. The Mishnah concludes, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer, Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, En mivi'in Bikkurim me'eva Yarden, we do not bring Bikkurim from the east side of the Yarden, of the Jordan, She'enah Eretz Zavat Halav Udvash, because it is not a land flowing with milk and honey, which refers to the plentiful milk that flows from the goats of Eretz Yisrael and the honey that flows from its dates and figs. It doesn't have that. And that the reason that it makes a difference if it has it or not is because that's how the Bikkurim passage describes the land where the mitzvah applies in Sefer Dvarim chapter 26 pasuk 9. It describes it as Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. So Rabbi Yosef Glili says the Ever Yarden, the east side of the Jordan, is not Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. Therefore, you do not bring Bikkurim from there. And the Mefarshim explain the first Tana agrees that the land east of the Jordan is not called Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, a land flowing with milk and honey. However, he holds that since God gave it to the Jewish people, the mitzvot of Bikkurim apply there as well. For the Bikkurim passage states in Sefer Dvarim chapter 26 pasuk 10, the fruit of the land that you have given me, Hashem, and that is the land, right? Like the Rav writes, Kevan shen adna kadosh baruch hu Yisrael, since Hashem gave that land to the Jews, Karinan be, we read the pasuk, Pri adama shanatatali, the fruit of the land that you have given me. Right, and Rabbi Yosef disagrees, says we do not bring it Bikkurim from Ever Eden, from east of the Jordan. And the Rav concludes, Ven halakha Rabbi Yosef Glili, the halakha does not follow Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rather, we bring Bikkurim even from land, even if they're not from the main part of Eretz Yisrael, but from the east side of the Jordan. That is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.